Raider Nation, good morning. It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, Fernando Mendoza Raiders news. If you bleed silver and black, the number one thing that you should do today, find some time later on and sit down, maybe go get some coffee, maybe go get a beer, maybe you get a Coke, sit down and watch future Raiders quarterback Fernando Mendoza up against Miami in the college football playoff championship game. We're going to talk about what you should be watching for from Mendoza. I'm going to give you my prediction on Miami versus Indiana, but first, let's get into that Mendoza news. So if you did not know, Tom Brady, John Spytek, and other Raiders officials will be at Hard Rock Stadium to, guess what? Watch Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. If Brady and Spytek and other Raiders officials weren't at this game, I would go absolutely insane. But here's the other interesting part. According to Diana Rossini, the Raiders have also invited a few other head coach candidates to meet them at the Indiana and Miami game. At the time that I am recording this, I don't know who these other coaches are. So if this extra information ends up coming out from now until tomorrow, I do apologize. But the Raiders hold the number one overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, a team that has lacked and looked for a franchise quarterback for a long time. So the fact that Brady, Spytek, several Raiders officials, and this organization has invited head coach candidates to go to that game with them tells me everything I need to know. With the first pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza. Gives me chills every time. Also, what gives me chills is knowing that the Raiders are getting closer and closer to hiring their next head coach. This is some news that I talked about earlier in the week, and it's the fact that the Raiders are going to interview Ejiro Evero, the defensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers. They're also going to interview Mike McDaniel, former head coach of the Miami Dolphins. For the Raiders, both of these coaches are minorities, so this satisfies the Rooney Rule. So therefore, once the Raiders have in-person interview, then the Silver and Black are going to be able to go out and hire their next head coach, which I do think is very important. And who knows? Maybe it's one of those coaches that Brady and Spytek invited. I'm going to be looking, end up being the next head coach of the Silver and Black. But here's what I know. I'm going to be live today, doing this game. I can't wait to be able to go live for Indiana and Miami, and I say that because I want the Raiders to draft Fernando Mendoza. I made this video 7 weeks ago on the Raiders Report saying, hey, Tom Brady loves this guy. This dude's a difference maker. Wait until you see him in the college football playoffs. Wait until you see him when the lights are at the brightest. And if you agree with that, and if you want the Raiders to go out and draft Mendoza, I want you to hit that like button right now, because I've seen a lot of talk about, hey, could the Raiders trade away the number one overall pick? I've done a video on what I would want that cost to be. But I want to be very, very clear here. I want the Raiders to draft Mendoza. I want Tom Brady and Spytek to fall in love with this kid because I'm sold. I'm sold on him as a franchise quarterback for the Silver and Black. And you know what I love? I love this response by Mendoza. He was asked before the college football playoff national championship game his thoughts on being selected number one overall to the Las Vegas Raiders, and this is what he had to say. I would say, honestly, that's a fantastic question. I would love to answer that. However, I don't think we'd like my teammates to have folks in the future. I'm really giving all my focus on the present right now. So what I love about that Fernando Mendoza quote is when he says it with the biggest Mendoza smile on his face. Like, he kind of looked like a kid on Christmas morning. Like, he wants to answer that question. But he also answered it in the way that a franchise quarterback should answer that question. The job's not done yet. I'm not focused on the Raiders. I'm not focused on the number one overall pick. I'm focused on my guys, my teammates, and doing the best job I can do to help Indiana win a national championship. That's the reason why I want the Las Vegas Raiders to go out and draft Mr. Mendoza. Coming up next here on the show, let's get into an Indiana and Miami preview and prediction, because this game is going to be a hell of a football game. You got the Miami Hurricanes, who in their own right are one of the best stories in college football. but they're going up against the best story in college football and the Indiana Hoosiers. The last time that I looked, the Hoosiers were 8.5-point favorites. The total in this one, the over-under, was 48.5. This game, though, is in Miami Gardens. It's at Hard Rock Stadium. And if you don't know, well, now you do. I'm going to be live, not 30 minutes before. Not to watch number 15 sling the pill. We're going to go live an hour before this game gets underway. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure those notifications are turned on. I can't wait for this football game tonight. So I got to know who you got. This is actually going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So when you're getting hit with that YouTube ad break, I want you to let me know down below who you got, Indiana or Miami. My answer and a score prediction is going to be coming up here right after this YouTube ad break. I'm somebody that likes close games, but I've watched Indiana run train on Alabama 38-3. I watched the Hoosiers go up and down the field up against the Oregon Ducks, dropping a 50-burger on them. I just think that this is their year. Cignetti's the best coach in college football. Hell, you honestly can make an argument. I think that Cignetti's the best coach that's breathing air right now for the team that he has. And Miami with Carson Beck has done so many good things, but I believe that they're going to get steamrolled by Indiana, and I believe the Hoosiers are going to win their first national championship in school program. So, 38-17, Fernando Mendoza, Heisman Trophy winner, national champion, future number 1 overall pick of the Las Vegas Raiders. Dude, I can't wait to say it. Coming up next here on the show, though, here's what every single Raider fan needs to be watching for Mendoza. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to have my eyes on Elijah Surratt. I'm going to have my eyes on Cooper. I'm going to have my eyes on other players in this game, as you should. But in all honesty, my eyes will be glued to 1-5. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If you bleed silver and black, if you want the Raiders to draft Mendoza number 1 overall, I got the top 5 things that every single Raider fan needs to be watching for him in the biggest game of his life. I don't know about y'all. I feel like I'm going to be playing in the biggest game of my life with Prize Picks this week. Wait till you see my lineup. It's not a high roller lineup like the Weldinator, but whether you're watching this game or whether you're just chilling at home, hey, man, get a lineup in with America's number 1 fantasy sports app out there. It's Prize Picks. Maybe you're starting a new routine, and sometimes making player picks for the first time or trying something new, it can be hard. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. And I was right on Fernando Mendoza. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend, great hoops action, and some college games as well, Prize Picks lets you take control. Do you miss fantasy football? If that answer is yes. Do you miss Raiders football? I don't know how that's possible, but Prize Picks is going to be here to have a good time. It's available in all 50 states. I've been telling y'all for all week. I'm going to give you my lineup, and I'm going to be real, I didn't love Prize Picks hitting me with the 1.5 Goblin pick on the Mendoza passing touchdowns. It's probably because they've heard me saying all week, I'm going to do a stack. If you don't know what a stack is, it's the same player up to 3 times. But this is going to be my lineup. I'm going to take the more on Carson Beck passing touchdown. I just believe Indiana is going to score a lot of points. The Hurricanes are going to have to play catch up. But then I told myself no matter what, I'm going to do a stack with Mendoza. I got to pick 3 things. So I decided to go 13.5 pass completions. Give me the more. Mendoza, 1.5 passing touchdowns. Give me the more. And then Mendoza, again, 174.5 passing yards. Give me the more. I want Mendoza. You can giggity all that you want. I don't even care because it's the truth. I want Mendoza in silver and black. And I also want you guys to go down in the comments, down in the description of today's show and get started with Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. So here we go. My top 5 things that I'm watching for from Mr. Mendoza. I want to see how he handles the pressure, the magnitude of this game, because if you want a number 1 overall pick, you want a franchise quarterback, he needs to be able to show me and the entire world in Raider Nation that when the lights are in the brightest, he can get the job done. I've already seen Mendoza do this in Happy Valley. You've already seen him be able to do it in the Rose Bowl and the Peach Bowl. But if you play well in this game, sir, you are a lock, and I mean a lock, to be the number 1 overall pick. Also, Indiana has never won a national championship. You want to be the greatest player to ever come through that school. You want to be able to walk into Indiana, anything, and they're going to treat you like a god. I'm not saying that Mendoza has any type of god complex, because if anything, he's got the exact opposite of it, which is why I love that young man even more. But here's why. I've heard so many people, I've seen so many people, Mendoza ain't X, Y, and Z. You know what Mendoza is? He's a mother effing winner. And when the lights are the brightest, he gets the job done. So to all the critics, to everybody that doubts him, I hope when he walks into Hard Rock Stadium in a road game, because that's where the Miami Hurricanes play their home games, I hope he shows everybody that he is that dude, and he is going to be that guy in the highest pressure of a situation in front of the entire world, in front of a home crowd at Hard Rock Stadium. Silence him, Mendoza. Silence him. Let's go to the next thing I'm going to be watching for here. Third down success. Yes, obviously fourth down success is important as well, but through the years I've seen Jimmy Garoppolo, Brian Hoyer, Aiden O'Connell, holy shit, there's a lot of bad QBs, Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder, Geno Double Bird Smith, all suck on third down. And what's so important about having a quarterback that's good on third down, they extend drives. Need to be able to extend drives, keeps your defense off the field, gives your offense a little bit of motivation. Look at Mendoza's stats this season. This is including technically his stats in 2026. I'm just talking about it from an entire year standpoint. 67.4% completion percentage, 900 yards, 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And for the Raiders, I felt like every time we were sitting here on third down, it was 3rd and 10 plus, 3rd and 7 and 9. I mean, look at these numbers by Mendoza this year on third down. When it's 3rd and 1 to 3, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, 62.5% completion percentage. Here's where Raider fans should honestly get really excited. 3rd and 7 and 9 and above. In the NFL, you're going to face more of these types of situations than what you do in college football. But what's really important about this 3rd and 4 to 6 range is high completion percentage, able to use his legs there a little bit, extending drives. What I really like about these numbers here, though, it shows that in the highest pressure situations, he knows where to go with the football, and he's completing a lot of passes. The completion percentage, touchdowns, important. Low interceptions, important. But the high completion percentage on third down, I would argue, might be the most impressive stat about everything on there on that screen. Let's go to the next thing here, because we've been sitting here talking about John Gruden's shitty red zone offense. Josh McDaniels, shitty red zone offense. Mick Lombardi, I mean, just add Chip Kelly. Just the OCs, the head coaches, shitty red zone success, even back to the days when Derek Carr was the quarterback. And I don't mean to throw DC under the bus there, but it is the truth. What I love about Mendoza is when he's in the red zone, he's the best version of himself. And again, there's so many stats that, yeah, you could say he might not run the best 40 time. I hear you loud and clear. But you know what I do want? I want a quarterback that's cool, calm, and collected in the highest pressure situations. He's not nearly as talented as a Justin Herbert, but I would take a Mendoza over a Justin Herbert in a high-pressure situation because he's got it up here. And even if that doesn't show up on a stat sheet, maybe these stats will. The last 2 years, college football, 37 passing touchdowns. You see that number right there? 0 interceptions, 8 rushing touchdowns in the red zone. The past 2 years. I fully understand college football is different than the NFL. I totally get everything from a talent standpoint, Indiana and Cal. But you know what, man? When a guy plays like that in the red zone, I don't know how you sit down and you're not like, yeah, that's about as good as it gets in a high-pressure situation. Let's go to the next reason here why I want people to watch Mendoza. He's fantastic against the blitz. How many times, raise your hand, type me down below if you've heard, well, Mitch, the Raiders don't have an offensive line. We shouldn't draft Fernando Mendoza. Well, luckily for you, we got over $100 million in salary cap space, and we should be able to address this offensive line. I don't even think it'd be that difficult if we're being 100% honest, but let's just say our offensive line still stinks. Well, guess what? It makes a lot of sense to go out and get a quarterback who is phenomenal against the blitz. In the game that I watched against Alabama, I freaking love that picture. I feel like he's pointing right at me. Maybe he's pointing at Spy Tech. Hey, come draft me. Look at these stats. 8 of 8, okay? Alabama blitzed him a season-high 12 times in that Rose Bowl. Blitzed him a season-high 12 times. 8 of 8, 161 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I don't know what his quarterback rating was, but I don't even know if it can get to 1,000. I'm joking. I know it can't. But hell, that looks like an 1,000 passer rating if I've ever seen one. Bottom line is this. When you blitz him, he makes you pay. Why? He knows where his receivers are going to be. He's great at being able to scan the field. He's smart. He knows what you're going to do before you do it. And when I just think about quarterbacks like that, I think about the guys that are the Tom Bradys, the guys that are the Joe Burrows, where, yeah, you know what, man? You might not have all the athletic traits, a guy like Peyton Manning, but he's going to know exactly where to put that football because in his head, he's already done all the calculations of everything that's going to happen. And whatever you present him, you might get him, but he's going to get you first. Let's go to the last thing that I'm watching for, leadership qualities. I've been frustrated over the past few years with some of the ways that certain Raiders quarterbacks have handled themselves when it's going good and when it's going bad. If you're going to draft a kid at number 1 overall, he needs to be a franchise quarterback. And a franchise quarterback isn't just about having the big arm, having the legs, being able to scramble, doing X, Y, Z. A franchise quarterback is being able to do X, Y, Z and also dot the I's, cross the T's. He is a leader of men, and that's what you need as a franchise quarterback for this organization in particular. You need a group, you need a leader of men. You also need a quarterback that fits with the players that is on that roster. You could say what you want about Mendoza. He's a little corny, soft-spoken. You know who else I kind of think is super soft-spoken, and I don't mean to use the word corny, but it's kind of the truth. Think about the type of leader Brock Bowers is. Think about the type of leader Ashton Genty is. Think about the leader Fernando Mendoza is. The way that they handle their business on and off the field, the way that they play their game on and off the field, it's so similar. Synergy, and we need synergy when it comes to Mendoza. But also, the highest trait of a franchise quarterback, and I guarantee you Tom Brady would back me up on this, is franchise quarterback, it's not about just you being a great quarterback. It's about making everybody else around you better. Special teams, defense, obviously the 10 guys that you got in the huddle. But when you have a quarterback that you feel like, hey, man, I don't give a shit if I'm down 28-3 in a Super Bowl. Hey, man, I don't give a flying flip if we're down against Penn State and there's a minute something left to go and we got to lead a drive. When you get in that huddle and everybody's got their eyes on you, I want a confident quarterback that just goes, hey, let's go get this done. And that's what made Tom Brady so great. And I'm not trying to say Mendoza's Brady, but you can see a lot of the similar characteristics. And again, he's got the characteristics of a franchise quarterback. But I also want to see what he looks like in good and bad situations. It's not a bad thing. We really haven't seen him in a bad situation in the college football playoffs, but I want to see a guy who's coaching up his linemen, coaching up maybe a wide receiver or running back, sitting on the bench, looking at the tablet, talking to coaches. I don't want a guy who's sitting over in the corner pouting like a Geno Smith. I want a guy that's firing up his team like a Derek Carr that's going out there and showing, hey, I love my team and I love my teammates and I'm not a selfish person. But the other thing that I really want to see is when the moment is the moment. And I don't know what that moment is yet. Maybe it's 4th and 1, the game's on the line. Maybe they're in the red zone and they need this play here. But what I've seen Cignetti do, and if you think Curt Cignetti's a smart guy, I think he's an outstanding coach. I think he's an incredibly smart guy, but he also knows that he's got Fernando Mendoza and a player that's going to do what is right in the biggest situations. Whatever the biggest situation of that game is, I want you to look at how Cignetti looks at him. I want you to look at how those players look at him, because to me a franchise quarterback is kind of that, all right, it's time to go save the day. And I know Josh Allen was unable to do that with Buffalo, but think about how many times the old days with Indianapolis, with Peyton Manning, with the Patriots, with Tom Brady, where they go, all right, it's time for you to save us. And Mendoza's been able to do it. That's what I want all of y'all to look for when Mendoza takes the field tonight against the Miami Hurricanes in the College Football National Championship game. So you tell me. I gave you 5 things that I'm going to be looking for. So to all the Raiders fans out there, you can't tell me you're not excited for this game, man. I'm more excited for this game than I have been for a Raiders game probably since Week 17 Giants. I mean, if I'm being real, and then probably Week 1 against the New England Patriots. But as a Raiders fan, what do you want to see from Mendoza? I got one more bonus answer coming up for you here after this YouTube ad break. I want to see Fernando Mendoza look up there to Spy Tech. look up there to Brady, and I want him to point, and I want him to say, hey, come get me. I know it's never going to happen, but you know what, man? If you would have told me that 2026 would consist of the Raiders being undefeated, the Raiders beating the Chiefs, the Raiders having the number 1 overall pick, and me getting to watch our future quarterback win a national championship, 2026 has been kind. Whether you want to admit it or not, 2026 has been kind to Raider Nation, and I want to keep those good vibes going. So Mendoza, when you win it all, when they give you the trophy of being the most valuable player, if you get a second or two, point up to Tom, point up to Spy Tech. I'll tell you this right now, Raider Nation, can't wait to welcome you home.